Al Horford to the Warriors. The silent power play that could break the Celtics' soul. What if the Warriors' biggest free agency win isn't a flashy all-star or a top draft steal, but a 39-year-old veteran who's about to rip the heart out of Boston? While the NBA world scrambles to decode big-name trades and million-dollar signings, Golden State might be closing in on a move that will echo far louder than most realize. Stealing Al Horford from the Celtics, and not just stealing him, but using him to reignite their championship window while Boston quietly crumbles. There's been radio silence since free agency opened, with fans speculating if Horford would retire, stay loyal to Boston, or jump ship. Now, league insiders like Mark Stein and Jake Fisher are dropping the kind of bombshell that Warriors fans have been dying to hear. All signs continue to point to Al Horford landing with Golden State. Let that sink in. Boston's defensive quarterback, their locker room general, their most trusted veteran in clutch moments, wearing blue and gold. This isn't just about Horford. This is about legacy, identity, and betrayal. Forget the stats. Forget the age. Horford isn't just another big man. He's the most stabilizing force the Celtics have had during this era. He doesn't need touches. He doesn't chase headlines. But when chaos erupts in a playoff series, he's the one anchoring the ship. Without Porzingis, without Garnett, with Tatum recovering, and with Jaylen Brown forced to carry the load solo, can you imagine a Celtics team stripped of Horford's presence? Golden State can, and that's exactly why they're circling like sharks. This is the twist most fans didn't see coming. Just weeks ago, it looked like Golden State was entering a quiet rebuild. Klay Thompson gone, Chris Paul dumped, the dynasty over. But then, Jimmy Butler rumors, Jackson Hayes re-signed, Ayton scooped up after a buyout, and now, Horford. They're not stepping back, they're coming for blood, and Horford is the piece that makes it all click. A high IQ stretch 5 who can space the floor for Curry, defend like a coach on the court, and provide exactly the kind of championship experience that can elevate a fractured team into a serious threat again. What if the most dangerous player in the NBA next season isn't even going to touch the court? Damian Lillard, freshly waived, unexpectedly freed, and still recovering from a devastating Achilles injury, just lit a fuse that could ignite the Celtics offseason in ways no one anticipated. While most franchises are cautiously tiptoeing around his injury, salary baggage, and age, Dame made his intentions clear in one cold, calculated tweet. If they call it a gamble at this stage, tell them this is the jackpot. Hashtag to be continued. That's not just confidence, that's a warning. And Boston should listen, because in a twisted, ironic way, Lillard's injury might be the biggest opportunity of his entire career, and Boston's as well. Let's unpack this. Lillard is 34. He's owed $113 million. He just tore his Achilles. He's not suiting up anytime soon. In any traditional front office model, those facts scream stay away. But in this new CBA landscape, where financial gymnastics and timing are everything, Lillard's situation is a cheat code in disguise. How? Because now that Milwaukee has waived and stretched his deal, he can sign for the veteran minimum with any team and still walk away with more than $22 million annually from the Bucks. That means Lillard, a 9-time All-Star and one of the most clutch scorers in league history, could choose his next team without the shackles of money or trade assets. Wild, right? Blasphemous. Even. But consider the math. Tatum is set to earn over $314 million on his new deal. He might not touch the floor until late next season. His Achilles injury could linger, and he plays a position that, while valuable, is more replaceable than an elite shot creator like Lillard. If Brown proves he can carry the team solo, and if Lillard returns to form, does that create a more dynamic backcourt than a Tatum-Brown pairing ever did? It's a long shot. It's insane. But this is the exact type of uncomfortable calculus Boston's front office might be forced to consider. If Dame looks anywhere near his old self, is Boston really betting its repeat hopes on Jock Landale? The front court crisis no one saw coming. What if the Celtics' boldest offseason move isn't another blockbuster trade, but signing a waived backup center averaging less than 5 points per game? Sounds absurd, right? But don't look away just yet. Boston's front court situation has quietly gone from championship caliber to dangerously hollow, and fast. In the span of weeks, they've offloaded Kristaps Porzingis, watched Luke Kornet walk away for a multi-year deal with the Spurs, and now find themselves flirting with the very real possibility of losing Al Horford to the Lakers or Warriors. The result, a once-feared interior defense is hanging by a thread, and now, out of nowhere, comes Jock Landale, waived by the Houston Rockets before his $8 million salary could kick in. Landale has become the most unremarkably available big man on the market, and yet, ironically, one of the few Boston might actually be able to afford. A former Olympic medalist with Australia, yes, but also a 29-year-old who barely cracked 12 minutes per game last season, mostly in garbage time for a young team that didn't make the playoffs. So why is his name suddenly circling the Celtics' radar? Because Brad Stevens is running out of time and out of options. Let's not sugarcoat it. This front court is dangerously underpowered. Xavier Tillman, solid on defense but limited offensively. Neemias Queta, still more promise than production. Luka Garza, a recent signing that screams to weigh depth more than it does rotation playoff big. Josh Minott, more of a wing forward hybrid than a true interior anchor. Now remove Al Horford from that equation. What do you have left? A roster with championship expectations and no real plan to protect the paint. Is Jock Landale temporary band-aid or a symbol of something much worse? Because if Boston starts the season with a front court rotation built on minimum deals and G League gambles, we're not talking about depth issues. We're talking about a systematic dismantling of what made this team elite in the first place. And here's the kicker. Landale might actually be their best available option right now. Not because he's good enough, but because he's cheap enough. Think about that. A team with the highest payroll in NBA history might be banking on a waived third-string center to patch a foundational flaw. Why? Because the CBA's punitive system has effectively crippled any ability to pursue real reinforcements. Boston can't just sign whoever they want. Trades now cost more than just picks. They come with financial penalties, lost exceptions, and long-term inflexibility. The Celtics are cornered, and the front office knows it. Could Boston really trade their finals MVP? The Jaylen Brown dilemma is deeper than you think. What if the Boston Celtics master plan wasn't about keeping the band together, but dismantling it entirely before it implodes? The whispers are getting louder. Jaylen Brown, the reigning finals MVP, could actually be on the move. Not just in NBA Twitter fantasy trades, not just in backroom debates between armchair GMs. We're talking about real conversations inside front offices with real consequences. Let's be clear. Trading Jrue Holiday was already controversial. Letting go of Kristaps Porzingis? Even more eyebrow-raising, especially after Boston steamrolled the league en route to Banner 18. But trading Jaylen Brown, that would send shockwaves through the NBA unlike anything we've seen from Boston since they broke up the Pierce-Garnett era. But here's the uncomfortable question no one in Boston wants to answer. Is Jaylen Brown untouchable, or just temporarily indispensable? A new report suggests that while the Celtics are expected to keep Brown for now, that decision isn't as locked in as it seems. CBS insider Brad Botkin is playing it safe, suggesting the team might take a gap year, rest up, reset financially, and run it back in 2026 with a healthy Tatum and Brown. But what if that's just smoke? What if Boston's front office is simply waiting for the right offer? Brown's trade value has never been higher. Finals MVP, elite two-way wing, just 28, entering his prime. And with Jason Tatum expected to miss significant time next season, some executives believe this could be the perfect moment to pivot, quietly, strategically, into a new era built entirely around Tatum and younger assets. There's a growing belief around the league that Brown's style, high usage, ESO-heavy, ball-dominant, may not actually be the ideal complement to Tatum's evolving game. Multiple analysts have pointed to Boston's offensive stagnation in key moments as a red flag. Sure, they won the title, but at what cost? Some execs think the Celtics succeeded in spite of their Brown-Tatum dynamics. Not because of them. That's not just speculation. Go look at the numbers. During the 2024 playoff run, Boston's net rating without Brown on the floor was shockingly efficient, particularly in late-game scenarios. Does that mean he's expendable? Not necessarily, but it does raise uncomfortable questions, especially for a franchise staring down the barrel of a second apron luxury tax nightmare.